I went through a self-reflective period of who I was at the time and where I needed to go.
1 year of you in AEW. What are some of the big highlights for you?
Wembley Stadium, my debut, my match with Chris Jericho.
It's been a while since you've had gold around your waist.
Exactly, and it's been feeling weird.
Do you even see an end in sight for your career?
I will always be a part of wrestling no matter what. Some aspect of me will be involved for the rest of my life.
What are some of the big goals you have in AEW?
Currently, the most important one is to win that international title.
If and when MJF comes back, it could be a target.
That's okay, I'm ready.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe we're finally making this happen. So, Roddy, it's good to officially meet you.
It's very nice to officially meet you.
There it is. There's the handshake. I have heard on many occasions that you and I look like we could be related in some sort of way. And I think maybe I see it.
No, for sure. See, I got the mustache now, so
I need to grow the mustache. What is life like with a mustache?
It's very interesting, I'll tell you that. I did it as a joke, just to get a reaction from my wife and son. And my wife was like, I love it. You got to keep it. And
I said to my wife recently, I think, mustaches are cool again. What if I grew one? She's like, I don't think that that's a very good idea at all. And I do not recommend that. I'm like, I guess no mustache for me then.
No, exactly. And it was funny. My son didn't even say anything for like 2 days. He was like, oh, no, you look normal to me. I don't know. He was messing with me back. I was like, dang.
What does your shirt say?
When Roddy met Marina.
This is great. And what a setup here. What is this just where you do all your interviews? Is this your office space, if you will?
It is. It is. My wife's been doing a good job of cleaning it up and making it look presentable, but I'm trying to get better of actually, using the room to kind of just let it be.
It looks great. I think it looks fantastic.
I appreciate it.
We're coming up on 1 year of you being in AEW. If we look back on this last year, Roddy, what are some of the big highlights for you?
Wembley Stadium, my debut, my match with Chris Jericho, and just the whole, story leading up to where we are now. It was just interesting because it gave me an opportunity to test myself with, becoming more of a character and doing more of that stuff. And for me, that was my favorite part, honestly, was just from how it started to how it ended. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that time.
I feel like you did a really good job. Everybody did a really good job of keeping your debut a secret. So like, what did the inner workings of that look like?
It was just a situation of like when my contract came up with WWE, I was injured. So I wasn't even sure if I could wrestle again. So then it was one of those things that once I got cleared, it was kind of, what is best for me at this time? And through the injury and stuff, I went through a huge self-reflective period and just of who I was at the time and where I needed to go just for life. And then, that's kind of when the decision to go to AEW was a little bit easier for me because it was one of like, I want to use all the knowledge I've acquired over these years. Not like I can't do that in WWE, but it was just a different opportunity to have a little bit more freedom in that sense and really, put myself in a situation that happened where I'm doing something outside of the box and it's by choice and, really being able to grow and lean into it. I don't know. It was just amazing.
What do you think started this like introspection? Like what made you go, I want to look ahead to what the rest of my wrestling career looks like and maybe what the rest of my life looks like?
Well, first it was what the rest of my life looks like.
Okay.
When, because my wife was on the road. So I'd be home. I was home with my son like the whole time. And there was just periods in there where, I struggle because I'm like, oh my God, all I've known is wrestling. Like, what is going on? Like, if I can't do this, what can I do? What can I be? Who am I? Like, and yeah, just, I met a guy who's my buddy now, like really good friend. And he's someone that had similar upbringing. And you know, he was kind of like a constant source of therapy in a sense. Like it was like thoughts that I would think and stuff I was processing that day. I'd kind of put it out to him and then get a little feedback. He was just, you know, and just really thinking like, okay, if I can wrestle, like, how do I want to do it? Because I never thought it would be taken from me in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the longest time I've ever missed was of wrestling is between being finished with the indies and debuting in WWE. I've just never been off. So then it was like not 9 months, like 9.5 months or something like that. So I was going stir crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like coming out of the pandemic and all that, it's like I had just been home for so long. Then it's like, oh my God, can I do this? And then when I do it, how am I going to do it? And just, you know, looking at every opportunity as, you know, and just being grateful and trying to maximize it no matter what it is. If it's 20 seconds, if it's 20 minutes, and, you know, just approaching it like that kind of took the edge off a little bit, because I've taken wrestling and this job so serious my whole life. Not like I don't now.
Yeah.
But just a different, you know, I have a lot of gratitude about it. Like it just no matter what it is, I'm just approaching it like that. So it makes me, you know, I go in with a little bit softer mindset and not so like protective and guarded. And yeah, it's just opened Pandora's box of like just, you know, thought and willingness to, you know, be more open-minded.
Did part of this like self-reflection happen to coincide with the fact that you turned 40 last year? Because I also turned 40 last year. Not only do we have in common that we kind of maybe look like we could be related, that we also have the same first name. I've never met a Chris that I don't like. Yeah, we also turned 40 last year. And did that factor into this at all?
Yeah, I mean, to a point, but it was more of like, I guess the realization of like, oh, I am 40 now, you know, because I've never really felt that way. But, you know, fortunately for me, I feel the best I ever have in my career. Like, honestly, I found a trainer that was going to address all of my weaknesses and kind of start me from the ground up and like kind of rebuild me. So I moved. It's just interesting because I went from being injured and being so locked up and like to now I feel, you know, so free when I move. I don't know, just, you know, making better life choices, you know, creating a, you know, like a protocol for myself and getting the right team around me, you know, to let me do this the way I want to do this for as long as I can.
I feel like you're making history this weekend. Like this is Sting's last match, and you're going to forever be able to say, "Yep, I wrestled on the same card as
Yeah.
Sting. I wrestled at AEW Revolution."
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a big honor, you know, and to be going against somebody like Orange Cassidy, like you know, whatever we have going on aside, like he's been a tremendous champion, and I mean, he's just an amazing wrestler and a great human. So it's just one of those things that the right opponent at the right time. And you know, I haven't wrestled as much as I thought I was going to my first year, and like I'm okay with it because this gives me an opportunity to kind of like blow the door open because people don't really know exactly what to expect of me in these kinds of matches. 'Cause I haven't been in a big match like this in quite some time. So I'm very excited to show the world, and I get to do it on the same show as Sting in his last match.
And it's been a while since you've had gold around your waist.
No, exactly. And it's been feeling weird. So I was like, you know what? This will solve the problem.
So if you've been watching the channel long enough, you know that I'm not always wearing t-shirts for interviews. I like to suit it up, whether I'm covering the red carpet for something like the Iron Claw in Dallas, or I'm sitting down for a celebrity interview, or this interview as well, the one with Cody that we did on his bus. But the problem I've always run into with business casual menswear is finding something that's high quality, but at the same time also durable. And that's what I found with Rhone. And look at that, through the magic of editing, I am now wearing my favorite dress shirt
ever from Roan's Commuter Collection, and they have products for every occasion. On top of these dress shirts, they've also got the world's most comfortable pants, quarter zips, polos, and blazers. So the thing that makes this shirt so good is how comfortable it is. 4-way stretch technology, that means it stretches both this way and this way. So no matter how you move, no matter how you're sitting in an interview, it's gonna be comfortable. I'll also let you in on something. I don't love getting my clothes dry cleaned because it's just such a hassle. Roan's Commuter Collection is treated with Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, which means more wears between washes and no lingering odors. You know what I'm talking about. You put the shirt on, you go, yeah, good enough. None of that here. Try it out for yourself at roan.com/CVV and use the code CVV to get 20% off your entire order. That's RHONE.com/CVV. Use the code CVV to get 20% off. This shirt is just so good.
Has having Sting backstage, has that have you been able to call on him for some advice, or has there just been some things you've learned just by watching him?
Mostly just by watching him. I love to observe. Unless I know you really well, I doubt I will come approach you and bombard you with any kind of like conversation. But just the way he carries himself, how cool he is. Like when he goes out there, he works so hard, and it's very inspiring. I've said it to like anybody that's asked, like the way he's going about this is very impressive. And what he's done for Darby or any of the people that he's worked with, across the ring, like he just seems like a very giving person and somebody that, is grateful for the amount of time he had in the business. And then, I don't know, it's just awesome.
When you say that you haven't wrestled that much in this first year in AEW, it's because you've had this there's awesome gimmick going on. This whole neck strong thing it's just magic. It's lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like I said, it was just it's an opportunity. Because I think because I was all in on it, everyone, I would wear that neck brace freaking everywhere. It didn't matter where I was going. And
Are you
people would be
talking
like,
you'd wear it to the airport, you'd wear it to the restaurant?
I'd wear, yeah, yep, all the time. It didn't matter. It was one of those things that, like, honestly, our medical team was like, hey, you can't wear this as much because it's like weakening your neck muscles slightly. So they were like, okay, so then I would give it a little bit of a break. But yeah, it was something, and I could, it was a real life thing for me. It's not, I came back from a bad neck injury, so it wasn't something that was too far-fetched to my mind. So, and my son loved it. So
when did you realize that yelling Adam was going to catch on?
Oh, it was after, like, some of the production people started coming, that work behind the scenes, and they're like, yeah, the fans are screaming it before the show. It's like, woo, Adam. Then it was just like, oh my God, because a lot of stuff was pre-taped or filmed off-site. So then, like, first time I got to really, like, after a stretch, go out in front of the people, and I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And it's kind of funny because whatever, like the yelling happened, but then it was like I can't just yell everything. And it's funny because my son does a thing when he's fired up and he's so mad, he just will yell one of the words he's saying. Sometimes it's the right word, sometimes it's not, and then he just talks really calm afterwards. And I thought, like, oh man, that's hilarious. So that's kind of like the yelling, and then like this monotone speaking was kind of just mimicking him.
I love that your son is the one who helped to create this gimmick.
Yeah, it's just trying to pull from everywhere in my life.
So is every cameo request that you get now someone being like, hey, my name is Chris, can you start it off by yelling Chris?
Oh yeah, which is cool, but it became like, and for anyone that has gotten a cameo recently, I'm sorry, but it just became a little bit too much, because it's not like I can just go, hey guys, how are you doing? It's like I have to scream. So it's, finding the time for that was a little hard, but I'll get back on it, I promise.
I feel like this is gonna be your thing, like for the next 10 years, I feel like even if you're not doing it on TV, this is going to be the thing. People are going to be like, oh, hey.
Yeah. That I met some fans, and it was like a father and a daughter, and he's like, yeah, this is the guy that screams Adam. Like, that's my name. I was like, okay.
I mean, look, if you're going to be known for
It's
something, I guess that's a thing to be known for. Sure.
yeah, right. Right, exactly.
Take me back to the first time that you met Adam Cole.
Oh man. It was in Philly in the locker room. He was just an extra. But I just know a lot of people were mentioning like, oh, this guy has a lot of potential. So it was one of those like where I came up to, because I at that time was, trying to be as helpful as I can. I still, didn't know much, but
And is this Ring of Honor we're going back to?
yeah, it's Ring of Honor. I think 09 maybe.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And it was just one of those things. I approached him, and I obviously so many people had said like good things about him, and then so just talking, gave him some feedback or whatever, and he was very responsive to it. And it was like, okay, this is one of the guys that I will give my time to, not at the moment. And from that, because we started conversating so much from that, it was kind of like, hey, you want to come hang out? Like, we're all doing this, and then it grew from there.
It's just amazing that you can talk about something that happened 15 years ago. Like it's, just casual. Yeah. Like you've been in this industry a long time, and next year is going to be 25 years. Do you even, do you think about that?
Technically a little bit longer, because I started when I was 12.
What?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, how is that even like possible or legal?
Well, I probably wasn't legal, but I went because my parents at the time were separated, and my dad's friend had asked him, like, hey, do you want to be a wrestler? There's this guy that comes into my wife's like doctor's office, and she was like the front desk lady, and it was Jim Neidhart.
Wow.
And he was like, it was when he wasn't with WWF. I think this was 95. And they were like, hey, if we get one more person, it'll be X amount of dollars cheaper. And my dad, it's funny, my dad was 39 at the time, and he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I had to go with him, and then obviously realizing like, oh my God, this is someone that would, to me is super famous and was on TV. But just I got to just be there every day. It was like 3 days a week, and I would just sit and watch. And I was like, and then one day he's like, hey, you want to go in there? And I was like, yeah. And just watching and watching, and I could mimic some stuff a little bit, but I guess I stood on the top rope because every kid wants to do that. And my dad said, when you did that, he said, if your kid sticks to this, he'll be good. And then my dad told me that on the drive home, which is probably just trying to be nice, but that was like the first time in my life someone was like, oh, you can be good at something, like really good at something. And I was like, oh, all right. And it gave me at that time it was tough because my mom had shot my dad. There was a lot of that history, and everyone knew it where I lived. So it was like my escape. I could be anybody, no one could judge me because they didn't know me. And then, I was in the mindset of like taking this on as a skill. Like, so if you get good at it, no matter what, you will be accepted. So it's interesting when I talk with my buddies, because I try to get their perspective of their younger years when they watched wrestling, like, and what made them get into it. Because I just got into it for a different reason. Like, I had watched it when I was younger, but I wasn't watching it at the time. So like it became like my mission to learn how to do this and be accepted in that world. So it was, I don't know, it was just a much different like reason behind it, but the love for it obviously is still the same. We all love
you looked at it as an escape, like that was the reason that you loved wrestling.
It was this fantasy world that but it was fantasy, but it was real to be, like, because you have to be good, like you actually have to have skill. It's kind of like football, like I just looked at it the same thing as like a sport, but it was like one of those things no one else around me was doing. So I could work on it as much as I possibly could. Like after, my dad trained with Jim, like we trained over there. It was like 4 months, and then he went back to the WWF as Who. And then so my dad and his friends, they built a ring, and then we were training at one of their houses. And then eventually I got my own ring. And then I just would go in there hours and hours and hours and just work on, the basic stuff. Because I was a kid, so I thought that broomstick test was real. I thought one day they're going to make me wrestle a broomstick, and I got to have a solid match. So I would just wrestle the Invisible Man for hours and hours and hours every day.
Okay, a big thank you to our sponsor, NordVPN, and I do not log on to public Wi-Fi anywhere without NordVPN. Look, I think you know public Wi-Fi is notorious for being a hotbed for hackers to jump in there and steal your information, but NordVPN keeps me protected from hackers and gives me peace of mind while I'm traveling to do interviews like this one. It's incredibly easy to set up on your phone or your computer, and it is super fast. Now, the best part about NordVPN is accessing content from 59 different countries just by changing your virtual location. So if there's content that doesn't exist in the country that you live in, oh, now it does when you change your virtual location. WWE Network is a prime example of that. If you just change your location to a spot where the WWE Network still does exist, you get that OG WWE Network experience. Pay-per-views, for example, maybe they're $40, $50, $60 where you live. Change your virtual location to a spot where they cost a fraction of the cost and enjoy the savings, my friends. Check out this deal that NordVPN has going on when you go to nordvpn.com/CVV, as low as $2.91 a month and 4 months for free. On top of that, this is a limited time deal, so take advantage of it while it's happening at nordvpn.com/CVV. That's nordvpn.com/CVV.
What would you say to someone who's, maybe 12 or 15 or 16 now that wants to follow in your footsteps? They want to be a pro wrestler for a living.
Well, one thing I would say is don't bump until you're older. You can learn like the basics, the technical aspects, the footwork and all that kind of stuff without bumping. That's one thing I wish I wouldn't have done as much of, because you feel invincible when you're young. And then so my style and what I like doing that. I like taking bumps. I like the physical aspect of it. So that is just one thing I wish I would have been a little bit smarter about, because it's not necessary.
Are you saying, like, with that said, in the career that you've had, I mean, you've taken a lot of bumps. As
Yeah.
you sit here right now, is there anything that like is as a nagging injury or anything that really hurts?
No, I feel great.
I love
Honestly,
that.
like I said, the best I've ever felt. And it's one of those things that surprised me, because I thought my mid-30s was going to be the best I felt, because I went through, obviously for the neck thing, I went through a period of just not feeling right. So to now feel better than I was feeling before that, it's kind of wild. Plays with my mind a little bit.
You had a moment recently where you landed on your head, and I got worried again for your neck.
Oh,
With
yeah,
with
me
Action
too.
Andretti, you guys did the Spanish Fly, but you landed on your head. So, I mean, was it a scary moment for you?
Oh, very much so. But because I like immediately like checked everything. Like, okay, I felt it at its worst. Oh, this just feels normal. I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? And then it just made me super grateful for the training that I was doing, because a lot of it is creating the space in your joints and like my vertebrae, and like working on my flexibility, like it's, I was just thankful for that.
I wish someone had told me about flexibility or like pounded it into my head when I was younger, because now I'm doing all kinds of yoga and DDPY. And I'm like, I wish I had started doing this like 20 years ago.
Oh, right. Like that's something we're trying to get my son more into that, because he's a big kid for his age. And he gets super sore when he's doing a ton of running and jumping, because he loves the jump off stuff. I'm like, dude, you're 90 something pounds, chill out. Like, because that was like someone said to me, because they were talking about kids and lifting. It's like, jumping from high things and landing is more impact and more harmful to their body than if they're lifting a light weight correctly.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's something. So it's like, okay, if because he just started baseball. He's played basketball a few seasons, soccer. He wants to do flag football. He does jujitsu. He's been doing that for about 3 years now. And it's like, if you want to do all this stuff, you got to treat your body in a way to be able to do it, so that's a fun little, we got to create little games for him to do it, but hopefully eventually he'll really get into it.
So how different does your weight training and recovery look like now versus when you just started out in wrestling?
Oh, sheesh. Well, one, I would get on the elliptical for 15 minutes and then I would just go work out. You know what I'm saying? It'd be chest
Yep.
day, back day. And then now, like, my trainer has it split up in like a heavy, like Mondays are my heavy days, Tuesdays are my mobility days. But it's not just doing mobility, it's building strength within those situations. So it's preparing my body for everything. So a lot of jumping and a lot of landing, single foot, stuff off kilt, working on rotation a lot. And then there's just a purely conditioning day. Like all the mobility stuff is something that, and building strength in those positions because, at a certain point, my hip flexibility was garbage. It's still not the best, but it's substantially better. And I'm strong in awkward positions, which is what you got to kind of do for what we do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I feel like we can notice it in the ring too. Like, I mean, you can go. I mean, you've always been able to go, but like I feel like you can really go now.
yeah. And I still feel like I'm not where I can be. And
Hmm.
that's, so Sunday I feel is my time to show that a little bit more.
Your debut, I thought, was so fascinating because you took everybody out. Like it's like you had like a list of moves and you're like you were going to hand them off to each individual person. Like when you debuted, you hit now you tell me actually, you hit like suplexes and everything. It was so amazing to see it.
Oh yeah, it was nerve-wracking, I'll tell you that.
Did
And
did
but man,
everybody know? Like I just felt like it was like
nobody knew.
this, then this, then this, then this.
I just said I'm gonna just be all over the place. If I see you, I'm gonna do something to you. And that's kind of it was that chaotic. That's how chaotic it was in my head too. Like it I was really out there to do something.
There's a photo you posted recently. You're in the ring with Rocky Romero. You're giving him like a high knee, and it's
Yeah.
taken at the exact perfect time. It looks like his nose is over here and his face is very disfigured. But in real life, it looks like you just barely touched him.
Right? No, that photo freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, I killed him. It
It,
was, I mean, that's one of my favorite photos.
I don't even know how, like, it just feels like it was just so perfectly timed.
Right? No, 100%. I'm grateful for that picture.
I love how much gratitude you have. That's a huge thing in my life too.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed when I've watched your interviews, which is good.
I
And
appreciate that. And we'll get to talking about gratitude, as when we wrap this up, but gratitude's just been like a guiding light in my life because there's always things you can be grateful for. Even if it's the worst day possible, there's always things you can go, man, I'm grateful for my family or my health or a roof over my head or whatever it happens to be.
yeah, no, 100%. And just, I don't know, when I was younger, I thought people that spoke about that, I don't know. It just felt weird to me. And I didn't quite understand it. It's like felt like they were just saying it to say it. I don't know. I had a lot of trust issues when I was younger, so but understanding, it's something me and my wife do. Some days are great with our son, some days are not. Like, and just realizing like so much good came out of it based off of what happened and
Yeah.
being able to approach the situations different and just so on and so forth. And instead of looking at stuff like, dang, I can't believe that happened. It's like, well, at least we understand this now.
Yeah. Wembley Stadium. Take me to that day and take me to what it felt like, just like feeling the energy of all of those people.
Oh my God, it was surreal. I couldn't sleep after that at all. It was so intense. And it was overwhelming. It really was. Like in a good way though, of like I was, I had been in the company 4 months and just was like, wow, look what these guys did before I got here. Like they're the ones that laid the foundation to kind of set this situation up. And for Tony to take the risk. I don't know, it was just awesome to be a part of it and, just see good people get an opportunity to show themselves to the world in such a big way. It was awesome.
I've heard that when you're in a stadium with that many people, that like it takes a second to feel the reaction because it's so big. Like it takes a second to like feel it. I don't know. That's what I've heard before. Is this true?
Oh, 100%. It's like a wave. It's a, it's like, it's very, very weird.
Wow. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's by far the largest crowd you've ever been in front of, right?
Yes. 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 I did the Greatest Royal Rumble, which I think was like 70. Oh, hold on. I gotta let my dog out of the office.
Oh, let's say hi to your dog.
No, he's going. He's going. He
okay. What's your
my-
dog's name?
That's Mello. We have two dogs, so Mello and Gwen.
So Mello was going to hang out and then went, nah, I got to get out of here.
Well, my son and my wife came home.
Oh,
They were
I got
next.
you.
They were next door. Our next door neighbor is a retired engineer, and we were trying to do this science project for the science fair, which is like this battery that goes through copper. It's like a train.
Yes, yes.
And we couldn't get it to work, so we had to pivot on that. But we still wanted to get the solution, so they brought it over there to kind of figure out what went wrong. So
You gotta love great neighbors.
oh my God, this is my first time really even wanting to have neighbors, and they're great. So, we live in a cool area where everyone's got a little space and some land, so it's nice. But they're amazing.
With how you're feeling now, do you even see an end in sight for your career, or do you think you could just keep doing this? Like Jericho's in his 50s and he's still doing it.
Yeah, it all depends on how I feel, and if I keep doing the things I need to do. And obviously, my goal is to improve the stuff that I'm doing, especially as science continues to improve and more stuff comes out and what's going to help. Like, yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I will always be a part of wrestling no matter what. Like some aspect of me will be involved for the rest of my life. I just,
You
yeah, I
mean
just
like as a
can't.
producer, maybe?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna open. I'd like to open a little school. I know there's a lot of them, but look at small, more personalized dojo style school, and you know, I don't know, take a crack at that, because I feel like that's something that I really love to do, and you know, giving people the best opportunity that I can with what I know and people I know.
Do you think your son might follow in your footsteps?
Oh gosh, he says it. And he's gonna be a lot bigger than me, so we'll see. So
You're one of the few wrestlers that has had the same wrestling name from start to finish. Was there ever any talk at any point of your career of being anyone but Roderick Strong?
yeah. Yeah. Yes. When a lot of those changes were happening in NXT, there was a conversation about that. And I was like, no. I said it would just be weird for me to change my name for 6 months, you know. And they were respectful, they were cool, and it was all good. So, but yeah, there was a small time. And then when I was younger, I had a different name too. So
Oh, like what was your name before you were Roderick?
oh, I was the Jester.
The Jester.
Yeah.
That's it? Like what? That wasn't a moniker. That was your whole name?
That was my name. Yeah. Because my
It's like-
dad's an Elvis impersonator. So he wrestled as an Elvis impersonator.
That's incredible. How did I not know this?
And
That's
then
incredible.
I was like, every king has a court jester. And that was like my, reasoning behind it. So
I don't know, with some of the stuff you've been doing in AEW recently, you kind of were Chester.
Yeah, right. Oh,
I don't
man.
know. I mean, I feel like you wearing the neck brace could have been great for a few weeks, and it kept working and it kept being great, that I feel like it was like there was no reason to stop this.
Right. Yeah, just, time came to pivot, but it's something, that's there kind of always with me. So
You
you
standing
never
up in the
know.
wheelchair was a great moment. I don't know. It was just that,
If
like, you're talking about, like, how you weren't going to be restrained by it anymore. Like, and then you just stood up and it was like the entire crowd cheered, like I don't know, like they thought you maybe couldn't ever stand again. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hey, in the moment, I felt like I was doing it. I'll tell you that. Like I hadn't stood up in quite some time.
Talk to me about the storyline at the end of last year. Like, there were so many whispers about who the devil would be and everything that was going on with that. You were a part of that. And that was a really big thing. And that was also the last time that we saw MJF. What was it like being part of that storyline?
Uh, I mean, I loved it. Like obviously that whole situation was so big for my career, giving me an opportunity to not have to wrestle my way, to get people's attention the whole time. So that was fantastic. And just to be able to work with Adam was, I mean, that's my dude. My favorite parts of my career are with him. Like, and so, for out of it to create an opportunity for Matt and Mike and Wardlow, like that's super cool because, Matt and Mike really haven't had an opportunity to do anything like that or get that kind of attention on that kind of level. So it was, you know, there was just so much good that came from it. And it's one of those things that I feel very necessary for my career and all the guys involved. And I think this next year is going to shape up to be honestly the best one.
If and when MJF comes back, I feel like you could be a target here now.
That's okay. I'm ready.
I feel like you're ready for anything, really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just picking my spots.
No, it's been so great to see it. What other goals do you have in AEW? It's like we said, it hasn't even been a year yet, and you've done so much already. Revolution right around the corner here. What are some of the big goals you have in AEW?
Oh, one day world champion is on that list, but currently the most important one for me is to win that international title and do with it how I think I can. Because that's the thing, like I was saying earlier about Orange. Like I have so much respect for the kind of champion he was, his work ethic, and I've said, I can do it better. And that's kind of my thing. I want to wrestle all the random people. I want those opportunities. I need to test myself against everybody from
Mm.
every part of the world and against our roster. I mean, there's so many people there for me to work with, and I think I can make memorable moments with all of them. So that is something that's like on the front of my mind and my main focus currently.
There's something going on in wrestling now across the board where, like, I feel like it's more popular than it's ever been, or certainly more popular than it's been in a long, long time. Are you feeling this when you go out there, when your music hits? Do you feel that it's just so much more popular than it's been in a long time?
Oh, for sure. And just watching, because I watch the show that I'm not on and just seeing stuff, you know, get the reactions that it's getting. And the talk afterwards and just seeing, stuff like when I debuted, there was some coverage from like some metal magazines, which was cool for me because I was like, oh my gosh, like anything outside of the wrestling bubble is awesome. And I think, I don't know, like you said, it is hotter and it's getting bigger. And, you know, we have a great opportunity on March 3rd to help grow AEW and just because this is a fantastic pay per view. So, it's just taking those moments and us capitalizing on how hot wrestling is right now.
And there's something, I'm going to bring it back to Sting, because there's something about Sting retiring where we believe it. And there's been, we know a lot of wrestling retirements that aren't like real wrestling retirements. They're back in the ring 6 months later or a year later, whatever it happens to be. I feel like if we're not watching Sting's match, like that's his last match. If we're not watching it, like that's it. We don't see it.
Yeah, that's how it feels as well. Just from all the way people are talking. And, I think this is obviously one that he's like, okay, now is the time. And he gets to do it the way he wanted to, which is awesome because everybody wants that, and a lot of people don't get that. So
But when you look at this
it's going to be
card,
so special.
when you look at this card, though, you and Orange Cassidy have a really good chance of stealing the show.
Hey, I'm going there to win. What happens during that, we'll find out. But
So
me winning it is important to me.
So you've mentioned gratitude so many times throughout this conversation, and I love that. That's how I start every day. That's how I end every day. And that's how I end every conversation. I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for when I start my day and I end my day. And that's what I ask my guests at the end of every interview. So first of all, Roddy, thank you for this. Congrats on the incredible career that you've had. I can't wait to
Thank
see you
you.
versus Orange Cassidy at Revolution. But I want to ask you, what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
My family, and like to make it more, my son, my wife, my mom, just every time, I just get, they're just the best. My friends, and just my health. Yeah.
Those are 3 great ones. And look, I'm a new dad myself. Our daughter's 8.5, almost 9 months old. I feel it, man.
Oh,
There's something so special about having that little person running around the house. I love
right.
it. Yeah.
Well, and that responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. It's very
Yeah.
good.
It's good. It's pretty great. This was great. So thank you to my brother from another mother. I can't wait to actually meet you and shake your hand, give you a hug in person.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
All right, my friend. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thanks,
And
Chris.
looking forward to you versus Orange Cassidy Revolution.
Thank you.